game 2. A little bit riskier, down in gold massively, but made all the right calls in tense moments to actually take the win. Great flank from CoreJJ, really patient play around the Elder. As we move into Hanwha Life's blue side draft pick here, see if the bans change, because the targets have otherwise been the Yeon, the Jace here. That remains the same, even on blue side, because Kallista's gone. She's already been played.
Yep. And of course, you know, Poppy and Talia have been just pretty strong so far this tournament, so it makes sense to get rid of them. It does mean that Dashy champions are feeling a little bit better. I wonder whether we're going to get down to the, you know, the Zeri Lucians again, whether we're going to have Valdez sort of rocking back and forth saying, you know, Zeri, Yuumi, Lucian, Nami.
Could happen.
More. It could happen, certainly could. We have seen it before.
Sejuani taken away here from UmTi as the final ban for Hanwha Life Esports. Rumble going to be another consistent fixture here. I think that's a wise ban, considering Zeus has first pick priority here, and that's one of the strongest picks left available. So 3 bans technically against Zeus here with the Yeon, and it's going to be Skarner that Peanut picks up. Now, for those who don't know, Peanut played Skarner before the rework incredibly well, and was one of the only players playing it back then.
And he looks pretty good on the champion. We've seen it already this tournament, and even though the nerfs did come through, it doesn't seem to matter. And because it's so powerful, we have just gotten immediately out of the draft. It's blown up the draft with its just sheer power. Never mind, we're back. As we can see now,
Ezreal.
It's getting back into it. And the Ezreal is going to be picked up here.
I love this pick because it's great into Skarner. You can avoid his Impale pretty easily. You can avoid him knocking you into the wall. There's no Varus. There's no Kalista. Both of those champions are the bane of Ezreal's existence. It's a carry pick that Yeon can pop off on. Fantastic to grab here. Leona still available. They could just snap lock that in right now if they want that extra safety. It's one of the strongest duos you could have with Ezreal. It may be stolen away if they don't, and they will grab it.
I think Leona makes a lot of sense. You also don't show your hand, really. Of course, Ezreal Leona kind of fits into everything and should just be pretty stock standard. Let's see what Peanut and Zeka are going to lock away here to round out their first round of picks, though, because interestingly enough, there have been about 1 billion AD carries that have been picked up, but just not a lot of them are the standard ones.
Yeah.
So things like Kai'Sa still up and available.
That's true.
Viper could go towards it if he would like to. Plenty of options here for Viper, and you know, Viper likes to play pretty much everything anyway, so it doesn't even really matter.
Yeah, I mean, he has a pretty wide champion pool, likes to play even some of the mages in the bottom lane, has played Teemo professionally.
On purpose.
On purpose, as a choice, a decision he made.
And Talia.
That's right. Although that one didn't work out as well.
It did not work out as well. I still blame LS for that draft, as I believe he used it when he was coaching BBQ in Challenger, and then CV Max was like, that's a great idea. And then Viper and Lehens did it 3 games in a row or something in the finals and just lost to T1. But that was many years ago now, and we'll see whether he has anything in store for us.
While we have a short little break here, I think it's a big opportunity to remind fans of the stakes if you're just tuning in. TL in this 3rd game have the opportunity to join KC, have 2 Western teams in the top 4, along with Flying Oyster and Hanwha Life Esports who already have their spots secured. If they win, they will also eliminate top esports from top 4. A loss, though, they're out. Top esports will be that final team. So that is what this 3rd and final game is all about here. You've got Team Liquid fans here from all over the world. You've got Team Liquid fans, I think, who've been watching some of these players for years. UmTi in Korea, of course, you know, CoreJJ, world champion, Impact in the top lane. I mean, there's so much to root for. And then, of course, you've got the Hanwha fans defending LCK Cup champions. This is the pride of their region on the line. Going undefeated would be what they're looking for here. And I mean, it's a big game.
It is, and it's kind of crazy that TL is only missing, like, as far as world champions are concerned, they only have 1 less than HLE, which is one of the most ridiculous super teams we've seen put together for a very long time here in the LCK. And, you know, Impact and CoreJJ, they've done it before. We'll see whether they can do it again here. Moving into the playoffs here at First Stand would be one of a few steps that they would have to make. And I think it might be a rematch that they get themselves towards if they do ever make it to the final. But looking to get back into this draft as quickly as possible.
Yeah, that could have been UmTi's family. I can't confirm or deny, but looked like it probably was.
And they don't get a lot of opportunities to watch his games these days.
Yeah, and if you want to watch him play in LTA, you got to stay up late or wake up really early.
Yeah.
So that's really awesome to see. CoreJJ, the man of the hour, the flank on the recon to bring us here. He nods. He's like, that was right. That was me. I did it.
I feel like he's nodding off rather than nodding at the camera.
We did have a pretty quick start to the day, so it's not like we're getting incredibly late here or anything like that. In Seoul, it's 8:44 p.m. local time. And
I did hear some of the HLE players backstage just saying, like, I would like to go home, you know? Like, I think it's starting to get to home time for some of these guys, as we have been at it quite some time.
Yeah. It's such an interesting storyline, too, to see generationally, CoreJJ, who's considered one of the best supports, you know, in his era, when he ends up picking up a Worlds title almost 8 years ago, I guess, or 7.5 years ago, some odd years.
Yep.
And then Delight, who's this new up-and-comer who came from Bro to then become an LCK champion.
Formerly UmTi's teammate, which is, like, so cool.
Draft is back, but I mean, Delight might be on the verge of picking up an international title here if Hanwha Life can continue the reign of terror. But I think they're going to focus on this Game 3, getting the undefeated finish first.
Yeah, that's probably a good start. Having a look at Peanut here, he was the one that reported a little bit of an issue not being able to make his mouse work. Having a mouse that works is generally good for League of Legends, so we're going to make sure that he does have one of those. He wasn't quite able to select his champion in time. So now that we have probably just grabbed his backup mouse out of the box, everything should be A-okay, and we'll just have the same pick and ban redone for you guys. And here we go, speed round.
So Skarner did the Ezreal pick here for TL.
Yep, and then Leona.
Leona locked in.
That's my prediction.
Yes. Let's see what happens next here, because I don't believe we actually had the next pick to come through.
Nope.
As it was Peanut's lock, and his mouse wasn't responding, so the issue has been resolved. So we'll see what they want to go with here. If you want to grab an AD carry that you think is going to be banned away, that you think is strong to Ezreal, now is the time to do it, because you won't get another opportunity. And this Ezreal pick will be protected by that second ban phase. And it's going to be Sivir that they opt into. This isn't really one that I think of. The old days of lethality Sivir and some of the old iterations of Sivir where she could just chunk an Ezreal out of lane, we're not quite living in that era right now.
I do want to remind you, though, this was the AD carry matchup in the 94-minute game that UmTi managed to win.
That is true.
Okay, unfortunately the Ezreal was on the losing side of that matchup, but I'm not gonna, like, let's not focus on that, right? Let's focus on the fact that UmTi was in that game and that was the matchup. There is the Ivern.
The Ivern, so not with a Tristana this time, but it's already hard enough to catch this Ezreal with the comp that we have here for Hanwha Life, and he's got the Leona as kind of a bodyguard in the laning phase as a drive deterrent, and now they have this extra shield on top of that as well here. And a jungler that can clear camps quite quickly. As Zeka's Akali is denied.
Don't mind that one. And you can really, like, the Akali can kind of pop off in a composition like this, so it makes some sense. And he's got a skin on the champion, so respecting it also works out. See where TL do go with this draft, though, just because Ivern can fit into a lot of different things.
I mean, the Corki is, I think, the obvious one. If you don't have the Tristana, even though Corki is not as strong as he used to be, he's still one of those double AD carry picks that can go into the mid lane and feel really good.
If you were to play an AD carry in the mid lane, though, what do you do now, right?
I mean,
there's not a lot more solo lane versions of it available.
Even though it's not necessarily the same type of AD carry, something like a Smolder could kind of fit the bill here. You know, I feel like APA is the type of player whose champion pool is so wide and so eclectic, and he sees these angles. I feel like Zeka, even though we say now that he has a much wider pool than he used to, isn't as creative when given the opportunity, which is why you see the picks, his iconic picks, taken away here as the pool is thinned. No more Silas, no more Akali. Those are two great picks into the Azir, which is now banned away from APA. So APA, what will the choice be? Because this could be another series-defining pick, just like the Cassiopeia, but it's just got to be Viktor.
Okay, the Viktor coming in instead. Man, I feel like the Smolder could have been an absolutely incredible angle, but it would be definitely risky, especially to pick it here. But with top lane being a point of problem for Impact here in this matchup, of course, for anyone playing into Zeus, it is just really, really difficult. So wanting to protect him makes a lot of sense. It's okay, that's Kassadin. Zeka pretty good at melee mages, as you can see with the Silas and Akali ban. Unfortunately, Kassadin is still there. This has been something that Showmaker has been playing a lot.
Yes.
Just like across the years here in the LCK.
The Ambessa doesn't fill me with a ton of joy because there's a lot of ways to stop it from being successful, plus the Ezreal is hard to lock down anyways, but it feels like a safe blind pick, and I guess that's the reason why it is going to come through here. The Gnar is available for Impact if he wants to just try to Gnar his way through to an advantage. They could opt into something like a Kennen, but I think you might even want to go AD Kennen in that situation. You have the Ivern to kind of back it up here.
Yeah, I kind of like that, actually.
It's a lot of AP damage otherwise, though. And he will go for the Jax that was banned away. Bit of a controversial pick for Impact, depending on who you ask, but it does feel like it can do very well into the Ambessa and is going to be a huge side lane threat later on. It can be backed up very well by the Ivern here. In terms of scaling, both compositions scale incredibly well. You have the Viktor, you have the Ezreal. Yeah. Late game is going to be incredible for you. Hard to kill the Ezreal. A lot of support for the Viktor. Side lane, though, really going to be quite strong for this Jax. But you're looking at a side lane in Kassadin that's relatively safe because he could just realm walk his way out of any situation. He's going to be incredibly powerful later on. Sivir's wave clear in the mid lane, also going to be a problem to deal with here for TL. So they need to make sure they don't find themselves behind the 8-ball, because if UmTi's trying to put out fires in this game and gets caught by a Skarner, there is so much follow-up damage here on the side of Hanwha Esports. We're in for a banger Game 3, though, Atlas. I feel like both of these drafts are similar in their identity, but obviously on the side of Hanwha Esports, you're trying to go in a little bit harder. On the opposite side, you're trying to survive and get to that stable 2 hyper carry composition with the late game Viktor, late game Ezreal.
Yeah, I do want to say, though, this looks a little bit like Dandy was saying, you guys have had your fun, we're winning this game. Locking down a whole bunch of champions that are right at the tippy top of the tier list, and it feels like this composition also does definitely do what it says on the tin. And yes, praying like that is maybe what is required for TL. However, Kassadin is always a gamble, right? You do need to make it to that late game. It's another one of those Monk and W pointing at the watch type situations. The last time that was scary. All right, I like it. TL fans managing to coordinate a little bit better that time, as Viper has picked the best skin for Sivir that everyone seems to pass the test of. Pack Sivir is by far the greatest.
It is.
Outside of the sneaky Sivir skin, you like that one as well.
Pizza decent.
Yep, the pizza one's good.
We don't have skin bans yet, so you can always pick packs, though, so you do just roll high every time.
No, it's real good.
I do like the first strike here for APA in the early game, trying to get as much of an advantage as you can and generate that gold, and the early Kassadin levels feels pretty fantastic. It is difficult to gank Kassadin, especially as an Ivern. Nailed it indeed. No first strike for Yeon, unfortunately, so we'll just be getting a little extra damage. But I do think that, Zeka should be relatively safe here as long as he doesn't play too aggressively in this matchup, but that prio should always be there for APA in the early game.
It should. And, of course, Kassadin was sort of built like an anti-mage, right? So you do have the shielding available and things like that that can work quite nicely into a lot of these mages, but you're still very, very melee. There was actually a time where Kassadin was really good into AD melee matchups just because of how well he traded with his W. As Impact, actually, speaking of trading, doing decently well here at this stage of the game. But we are going to have a microscope on this top lane. Like, we were talking about being able to hear Ezreal from here. Well, the Jax lock-in, there is a lot of worry. There is also a Kobe somewhere as well that's wondering, whether it's going to work this time, because this is not really what success has looked like in the past for Impact.
None of them are near me physically at the moment, but I can see my phone blowing up with a lot of messages about it. And I think people are talking about his APA over here trying to steal away or disrupt Peanut.
Almost got a bit of a reset thingy.
Yeah.
Didn't quite work out.
Not quite. Bit of an engage.
Yeah, Viper getting a bunch of his health back, though, with the shield working out for him. And it's kind of annoying to utilize the shield if you are the Sivir into Leona, just because Zenith Blade can then pop it, and then you've got the Shield of Daybreak to then be the issue. But he actually managed to time it so that it was the Shield of Daybreak that he mitigated. And
Impact?
that's the biggest stuff.
Come over here, try to get some additional information. Sees that ward, sees Peanut. some pings going down as UmTi is going to come over and try to create some disruption on this blue buff. He has Smite available and some extra time he can take it. But just wants to actually fight Peanut straight up.
And UmTi is going to try and make friends with this Sentinel.
Yeah, if he can, he could just steal it away with Smite, but it's a bit of a channel.
Yeah. All right, there's the Zenith Blade as Viper is immediately cleansing.
UmTi got it, by the way.
Oh, nicely done.
Got him!
I do like that UmTi has played 2 trees in a row.
That's true.
Maybe that's the winning formula. We've been focusing on the fact that this Jax exists. Nah.
It's such a treat to watch him.
There is another tree as he walks onto a ward and is not going to be able to take down Zeus this time around. Gives away his position, though, as now Peanut should have a little bit more of a good time around the map.
I think it will definitely be a lasting controversial pick, at least until the next season of LTA starts up. If Impact loses on this one, he's struggling a little bit here in this early laning phase. But he has the opportunity as hold up.
Don't know about this one, as CoreJJ is actually extraordinarily tanky, has Aftershock and Eclipse, so never mind.
He's fine.
He is fine.
But this is an opportunity for Impact to change the narrative. If we can have a really huge pop-off game on this Jax here, Zeus will take a lot of turret damage.
Oh my goodness, that was a ramped turret as well, so that's a bit scary.
Yeah, like, Impact sitting on a cookie and a pot. Thought maybe he'd try to make something happen there, but decides not to risk it, even with the biscuit.
Yep. Oh, I liked that, Wolf. That was really nicely done. There's UmTi, gets a control ward into the... Oh, we might be naming that one. That could be Agnes the ward.
Ooh, it could be.
As UmTi makes friends with some Raptors, and Peanut, unfortunately, is going to give it top of the morning as he realizes that they're gone.
Really nice pathing here from UmTi, creating a lot of disruption against this Skarner. Very difficult to land a counter-strike on Ambessa because she's just kind of dashing around all the time.
It's a release date problem, I think.
Yeah. You can, of course, if you wait out the dashes, if you could force them some other way, just leave strike on top of her and end up setting up a counter-strike if you time it all. But it's very challenging, obviously. And APA, 200 gold lead here, doing exactly what you're supposed to do in the early game of this matchup. That part's going well.
The first strike value that he's getting is that it, like, the entirety of this lead. You can see
exactly.
Like, the CS is even. So really making sure he maximizes that extra money. It's really good to see.
CoreJJ coming up here with Delight. Zeka, I think, wisely will respect the missing Leona in the bottom lane. But that's going to be a dragon.
Yeah, UmTi should be able to grab that one there. As, okay, Gravity Field going to go down as APA with his Death Ray. Going to be able to do a lot of work onto Delight, who will flash. But if just one more piece of damage comes through, he should be dead, and the Death Ray is what secures it. CoreJJ able to survive there as well, and that is first blood going over to TL. Peanut should be able to answer with these Void Grubs, but the Dragon's going down on the bottom side, and TL, that is a really good first exchange.
Yeah, really huge for them. Does feel bad that you're not going to have those grubs for your Jax later on, but I think
Glorious
well worth
evolution. All right, Riftwalk is now available for Zeka, and so this is where things start to become a little bit of a problem. APA is still trading okay.
Mountain into Cloud here to start things off as Impact's going in.
Yeah, Grandmaster's Might is down as Zeus can be very tricky as Peanut, he turns up. The flash is going to be used by Impact to get himself out of there. Impact wanting a 1v1 as CoreJJ in position once again. They go for this dive, it's certainly dangerous, and CoreJJ flashes in Zeus. Not a lot of options, but he does have dashes for days. So he will make it out. Still, Impact survives. That is a big deal. All right, more fighting here as Daisy, Yeon, and UmTi getting to work down here. Daisy going to be taken out.
Sad.
Yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate.
A lot of vision here for UmTi in the jungle. He's going to clear this ward as well. Look at all the control wards they have around that red buff. But he's just got tons of information about what Peanut is doing on the bottom side, which allows Yeon to continue put that pressure on. Obviously, the new Peanut was top as APA.
Yeah, Gravity Well in a pretty good spot here.
He's like, cool, thanks for the first strike goal.
Yeah. He's got enough of that. It's 500 gold.
I mean, he's really just generating the lead off of the rune alone.
It's like when you watch like Gangplank matchups and Twisted Fate matchups, you know, it's just kind of unfair that they get more money. It's a rune now, so yeah, APA in this one being able to eke out that little bit more. I want him to build a cull at the same time, go full investment strategy. That's probably not going to happen.
A lot of vision here in this jungle, but can't really be utilized too much outside of, you know, Yeon being able to continue to push for a long time there, and then they saw Peanut topside and knew he was mid, and just been tracking him very well here, but there isn't anything they can necessarily gain from that at the moment, as I don't think UmTi can make an impact here on the top side against Zeus, and so he's just going to go ahead and take a back, maybe get his cooldown boots already, and we'll just get a Kindle Gem on top of his impact. Once again, going to look for an aggressive trade. Fall back to the minions instead, though.
Yeah. Power damage starting to stack up here. Doesn't even have a Sheen yet, and you can see Zeus taking the worst end of that trade, at least for now.
Yeah, really well played there from Impact. Delight. He's trying to come up here. I mean, there's been a lot of action not leading to kills here in this top side.
I do just really like that Impact is just playing it on the back foot, just picking up the farm where he can. Of course, not winning out, but he isn't losing either, which is certainly good news. As UmTi's going to move in on top of some vision right now. Zeus taking some damage. Delight going to be moving up as UmTi turns up as well. There is going to be a Skarner here pretty soon. But Daisy trying to stack up that 3-hit and may have got a knock-up that didn't actually see.
I mean, things are looking decent here for TL, considering Jax is behind, but the pressure's been staved off here. And Delight being topside means that Yeon can continue to actually apply pressure down here, get plate gold. APA generating more gold, but he may be in trouble now.
Yep, there's a good flash to get out of the Winter's Bite, as the Rift Walk will allow Kassadin to get out of the Chaos Storm. APA actually been playing a pretty good mid lane here. The problem is that as soon as Kassadin's kind of even, and I know the first strike is meaning that APA is ahead in gold, but it's still just a free farming Kassadin at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, I mean, you want to get more, ideally. And even though Yeon's been given some extra time here to try to push turret plates, hold up.
I'm seeing a little bit of trouble. Trigger Seed does come on through as APA, another gravity well that works extraordinarily nicely. Zeka taking a fair bit of damage, but
he's full mana.
The mobility is pretty silly. Yeah, exactly.
He is not really too concerned. Impact may need to be.
Yeah, there's a flash forward. Grandmaster's Might comes down. He does have the counter-strike, but Peanut gets in there, and there goes the kill. Zeus picks up one onto his... Oh, True Shot Barrage, and that is going to secure it for Yeon.
Big kill for Yeon there in the top lane.
And the assist goes over the Impact, so that helps Band-Aid it. And now, perhaps, there is going to be Peanut in some trouble. Does flash away as Teleport gets Zeus towards Zeka towards the top lane.
Very tense moment there on the top side of the map.
Still, I think,
I mean, we're not done yet.
Yep, TL still have a slight gold advantage. We'll see whether they can actually get in and take away any of these grubs. Remember, they took the first 3.
Impact teleported bottom side here, trying to put some pressure on the plates, but Zeus does have TP, so they need to be aware of this.
Yeah, APA turning up. TL have invested a lot in this already, as now Zeka on the flank angle will get pushed away. But with 2 grubs remaining, HLE, they don't even really need to worry about it. 5 grubs, that feels all right.
Does feel really strong.
It's not going to get the feats of strength, you know?
And, you know, they end up getting this. There's no teleport from Zeus, but they had a really nice setup to pressure that bottom lane, pull Zeus down bottom side. Now they're going to try to get plate gold here top side, maybe even set up for a dive.
Yeah, Daisy getting a little bit aggressive here as Delight might get knocked up, but does not. Dragon turning up here as Peanut going to join. CoreJJ wanting to be the one that soaks all of this CC, and that solar flare was gorgeous. Just to buy some space for TL. Successful disengage.
Get out here. Yeon doesn't quite pick up the plate he wanted, but happy with the pressure they applied either way. Impact down here does have the Sheen. Maybe a trade.
Yeah, that counter-strike timing was better than some others.
APA's continue to build the sleep, just kind of free farming here in mid. It's going to be a force to be reckoned with before the Kassadin is fully online. In that mid game, especially if we could see Yeon hit that 2-item spike around the same time and really start to take over this game. Impact is 0-1-1. But he's also a bigger side lane threat, especially the grub setup that they have. So, still feeling good as APA.
Yeah, Delight ulted it. As there's the public execution, that's how they're able to get that man advantage. But Zeus is burning down. The Impale is so good and Delight will survive. However, Impact just flashes on top of him. Can he get another? The answer's no, as Zeus just dances around the Jax and picks up the kill to boot.
Really unfortunate passage of play here from TL. Fantastic ultimate from Zeus here.
Might be the punishment though, as UmTi is spotted. And the Hex Splash, CoreJJ unable to get on top of him. There wasn't a lot of damage
if he
to
had,
Leona and the idol.
If he had a normal flash, and if he had Solar Flare, which he does have now, Maybe they could have done something with that, but X-Flash a little bit too slow. As this is just really greedy pathing here from APA to try to punish, because he had so much prio and he just ends up walking straight into Delight. It buys enough time here. Then Zeus' ult is fantastic. And it seems like maybe we're going to trade until Peanut says Impale, more like Impeel.
Yeah, I like that one too. You are on the ball with these puns, Wolf. I like it.
They still end up getting the kill onto Delight, but it's a way bigger trade up here for the side of Hanwha Life Esports. As TL look to grab the second dragon.
Yep, that'll be their second as well. They were able to grab the first, so this is certainly good news. I'll take that one down. It's going to be an Ocean Soul, maybe a bit of a groan, but when you've got an Ivern, maybe you're actually okay with it, as you can sort of like build yourself some spaces to regen back up again, stuff like that. Certainly could be a method.
It's not horrible, but it's definitely not what you were hoping for.
Yeah.
I think ideally looking for something like a Hex Tech with the slows and the value that's going to bring into this composition that's so melee heavy would have been perfect, but at least they get Mountain and Cloud worth of stats, and that is going to be still pretty huge for them. Small plate advantage here for them as well.
Man, there were not a lot of plates that went down this game.
He lives in the top lane this game around.
Oh, CoreJJ going to move out as Zeka has Rift Walk, which is an ability that allows you to escape from any situation you are ever in.
It is kind of like the balance of Kassadin, as Impact is in
maybe
danger.
Some trouble. He's just going to try and clear out the wave. He's doing his best to ignore the fact that these champions are here. As the Winter's Bite, Concussive Blow's not stacked up. And Impact given a little bit of space here. Peanut by himself shouldn't be enough, but he's able to hold him in position for so extraordinarily long. And there's the public execution, and it was definitely public because there were 4 people surrounding him.
Yeah, it ends up being a long and heavy commitment, though. That does mean that on the bottom lane, we are going to see a turret taken by APA. It's a trade of turrets, of course, but still a lot of money on this Viktor. It's not quite the same type of incredible lead because of the scaling element here that we had in Game 2, but once again finds himself the center of attention in a really pivotal game here for Team Liquid. Generates so much gold off of first strike, as Peanut is very tanky.
He is, but so's Daisy, who is just trying to interrupt him as best she can. Unfortunately, Peanut has the ability to just drive through walls if he would like to.
Hit a bit of a wall there.
Yeah. A little unfortunate, but that's fine.
Moving into this mid-game, when fights start happening here for TL, they need to try to win them pretty convincingly. Getting the objectives alone will feel nice, but winning the fight is what you really want, because you really want to start to get accelerated. And you can try to pull them around the map and force fights in your favor with his Jax when he's ahead, but he doesn't have enough of a lead on Zeus to where he can really start to put the big threat on yet. He's getting closer to that angle, but not quite there yet. And TL just need to look to force any fight they can before this Kassadin becomes a huge menace. I mean, we've been talking about stuff like this all series long, between the Kale, the Kassadin now, the Quinn falling off.
Yeon needs to be a little bit careful, but so far able to stand his ground. And when you've got these shields from UmTi, it can mean that you have a bit more longevity in a bunch of these fights. Zeus holding onto the wave here. They do get priority in that mid lane. Oh, he's getting antsy. You can feel it. There is a fight a-brewing.
I mean, they just kind of looked for a fight, but it couldn't find it. Yeon lost half his health bar. Now the objective is just going over to Hanwha Life Esports for free. And this is worst case scenario, I feel, here for TL outside of losing a fight. It's just not getting the opportunity to take one. As yes, Hanwha Life had to group for this, and that means they're missing members on the map, but there's no side lane pressure. I mean, Impact is out here in a side, but it's not like he's threatening a turret. It's not like you see APA, yes, he's farming, but he's also not threatening a turret. So Hanwha Life kind of get a freebie here. That's free time. Zeka's already hit 11 on the clock, which means he's basically halfway there.
It's feeling a bit scary. And in a long lane like this, the Viktor is never going to have a good time. That's why you can see APA not walking up, just unable to do so right now. As Zeka will move on in. You do get if you get the drop on him, then you're able to get some work done, as we can see there from APA.
Yeah, 13 extra gold picked up as well.
As all right, on the hunt is going to get procced here, as Viper not able to really get too much done. Great route to come out from UmTi to stop Peanut from coming forward, but now Zeka is going to turn off the Arcane Shift. Yeon, not a whole lot of places to go in that flash. Wasn't great either, but the knockups are coming in, and Yeon survives for so incredibly long. Impact turning up, trying to take down Zeka, but another Riftwalk gets him to safety. And finally, Impact gets here. Peanut flashing away to get himself to safety. And HLE, they just had more people there more quickly.
Yeah, exactly. They just had a numbers advantage, and they were ahead on the tempo. If everyone was set up on the play there for Team Liquid, I think maybe they actually win that fight. I think likely they would win that fight, but APA teleports in so late. Now his teleport is expended as well, and really getting nothing out of it. So going back to this here, you can see Viper is able to press his ult button. They're looking to go in. Zeka on the flank here. But look at APA, he's inside, right? Impact is coming, but very late. He's so deep into the lane that by the time he gets here, it's far too late. And with Yeon out of the picture, they don't have enough damage until APA shows up, and that's when Hanwha Life are already out of there.
Yeah, that was a pretty difficult situation, and the fact that HLE are just able to see a target and say, you are going to die first, is a very scary situation, as now Zeka in trouble. Zenith Blade going to connect there from CoreJJ, but he flashes, and he rift walks.
It's just so hard to chase down to Kassadin, and now this Herald is going to crash mid, and Hanwha Life are trying to wrestle that Dragon Prio away.
Oh, public execution as well as Impact underneath the turret. Viper not going to stick around, but it is still going to be this turret lying on the floor pretty soon. CoreJJ going in once again as a solar flare onto a Skarner is maybe not the priority target here. As Zeka turns up once again. APA in that backline. Let's see how much TL can actually get done. As Zeus getting spotted there by Impact. And CoreJJ is trying desperately to tank things up. The Telplars are getting so extraordinarily low, but it's Zeka that takes down the Leona. And TL are pushed away. Peanut smacks them into the wall. And TL just get their backs broken in this mid-game. A triple kill for Zeka's Kassadin. And that's not a great sign. Make it a quadra, make it an ace. And HLE, I think they've decided they want to win this series.
The backs are broken. I think the copium tank is empty, Atlas.
Yeah,
that might have just been the end of TL in First Stand 2025 as the engage comes through. But remember, Viper shows up here, can join the fight so quickly with his ultimate, and watch him just rip through these health bars on Sivir. It's not even late game Sivir just yet, but he can do so much consistent damage here. And even though there's an attempt to engage here from CoreJJ, there's no follow-up. There's nobody doing damage to him. Zeka isn't really taking that much himself, but APA, there's so many threats he can't get into the backline, and then this is when it ends with the collapse from Zeus and Peanut, and Zeka presses R on top of all of Team Liquid's hopes and dreams, picks up a quadra, and is no longer the Kassadin in the early game. He's accelerated. He's 3 Rod of Ages stacks away from getting an additional level to skip that road to 16. Now with so much money in his pocket, he's got an extra blasting wall on top of the extra survivability he has too, and the completed Seraphs. Killing this Kassadin was hard before, now feels nigh impossible.
This is going to be a very tall order if TL are going to make this one happen. They do still have, you know, the feats of strength went their way, but as you can see, I mean, there are bounties set up on these turrets, on these objectives around the map. And Otacon, maybe that's going to be an opportunity. Solar Flare going to get eaten by that spell shield from Viper. And TL just going to have to slink back towards their side of the map. Starting fights anywhere away from the Kassadin might be a decent idea, but he'll have teleport back up relatively soon. And then there is going to be nowhere on the map that is safe here for TL.
It just feels horrible when you're the Jax. 1.2k down, catching the waves in the side and not pushing them in. Impact 2 levels down on Zeus here. And he's just not able to do anything. He's getting cut down.
It's pretty absurd. And I mean, Zeus has been playing some weird champions so far. It was Kale and then Quinn in this series. This is, you know, one of the more coveted of the champions here. As Impact just getting dove underneath his turret by Zeus alone. And he walks it off. No worries at all. The rest of TL now wanting to try and find a cross-map play.
Zeus has TP, so you're never gonna have a numbers advantage. And Hanwha Life say, this is my moment to take Otacon. APA can, of course, join his teammates as well here with his own TP.
Yeah.
Looking for a kill on the Zeus first, but I just don't think you can lock down this dashy champion.
Yeah, it's not going to be able to kill him. Does stop the recall, I guess, as now the flash comes out. Peanut still just flashing forward. They get the suppress. Down goes UmTi. No more spite for TL. As at least they get some decent damage onto Zeka, but he's still rift walking forward. CoreJJ just standing his ground, says, Yeon, you must live. He'll live, but I don't think Otacon will.
Down go TL again. Teleport coming through here from Zeus to continue the pressure insides. Otacon could be taken without him here. You can see a TP from Zeka into the top lane. He's looking to push the inner. The whole map is falling apart, and Yeon is just taking what he can in the mid lane. Maybe, if he gets enough time, he can get a bounty here while Otacon is being taken, but contesting, not even a dream, not even a concept here for TL at this point. He's just going to walk away, let that wave crash in mid as the Otacon goes down. Ruinous here for Hanwha Life, and extra levels for a Kassadin who's already accelerated and already has a Rod of Ages. Things have gone from bad to worse. I think they already went. Now they've gone from worse to unthinkable here. Unfortunately for Team Liquid, as this is a replay of, fortunately, Impact getting solo killed, super far behind in the lane.
Yeah, the public execution feeling like it's named in a far too appropriate way feels almost mean. As the flash impale, this means that Peanut selects his target and UmTi goes down.
And APA shows up to get blasted. You know, there's so much tempo in this comp when you have Viper's ultimate to keep everybody moving forward. The flash impale, the chase is easy, and by the time the Viktor shows up, he's just run down.
And that's level 15 for Zeka. 7-0-3. Malignance now completed.
I mean, he's like 10% away from 16. Less than 10%. He's basically got it.
Yeah.
On a mini wave.
And Zeus already has it. So the public execution is even more scary. He's 3 levels above Impact. Viper will turn up here as well. And this is the problem, right? Like, Sivir and Kassadin are 2 of just the hardest scaling champions in the game. Staring down the barrel of this composition is difficult at the best of times, and now you've lost back-to-back team fights. TL just have no way back onto the map. Is on the hunt. It's the donkey whistle here from Viper, dodging all of the skill shots there as well as Gorgeous. As there's a public execution, the door is given to them as well as Yeon is just picked off and destroyed. The same fate lies for Impact as CoreJJ is able to walk it off. But TL, I mean, they just have to watch as their friends are torn to shreds this game.
I guess he didn't have the shift at the moment. He had it seconds later, used it, but didn't use it to avoid that one. Is taken out at max range from another ultimate from Zeus. He's had so many good ones this game. And I think this is the beginning of the end, Atlas.
Yeah, there's the force pulse. CoreJJ slammed into his Nexus. APA, not a lot of buttons remain here as Peanut can tank these turrets for way longer than he could when he was playing Zyra in the previous game. They'll settle for an inhibitor for now. The Baron up and available. They can take that if they feel like it. But let's have a look at this once again.
Yeah, it's on the hunt. Chase forward here, some good dodges from Viper, but it's this ultimate here that unfortunately Yeon either couldn't dodge with his E or just opted to not to because he thought he was just out of range. On the max range takes him out. That's so much of the damage gone. That leads to the inhibitor.
He didn't have very many opportunities to either because, of course, the public execution holds him in place and then the impale was pretty much right there.
Yeah.
So
the
just,
strong combo.
Yeah, up a creek without a paddle as UmTi just not allowed to be there. And Zeus shows him exactly why. Zeka is now going to punish Yeon for it as well, as he just waits for another Rift Walk. And Yeon knows exactly what's going to happen here. Force pulse to kill him.
It's just an absolute bullying here.
0-4. Oh, man.
This is the happy game Hanwha was searching for, and I think they found it, Atlas.
They did. They're just like, okay, why don't we have maybe only a couple of players play those champions that they have a lot of fun on, and the other ones can do the things that are just good in the meta at this point in time. And also, let's have a composition that does a thing that looks planned. That works.
3.5 items Sivir is going to make quick work of this Baron, so the side laners can continue to actually set up those Baron waves for the last 2 inhibitors remaining here for TL. Baron gets taken over. Now they're looking for more.
Yeah, Zeka he's still Kassadin, isn't he? So I guess he can do this time. On his Silas, he was making those plays and getting punished. And I guess now he just doesn't. Zeus may, though, as he is underneath the turret here. Zeka is chasing after APA, and APA just takes 1 billion damage. Is trying to kite, but sometimes you press R in his general vicinity and he pops like a balloon. UmTi also going to suffer the same fate as Zeka gets himself out of there, using his health bar as a resource, ladies and gentlemen, as Zeus takes down Impact. I think this series is over as HLE. An absolute statement here in the final game. I'm glad they had a bunch of fun. TL also showing a phenomenal game number 2. But HLE showing exactly why they're the favorites here on their home turf, as they'll take down the final nexus of the group stage and move on to the playoffs pretty comfortably after this win. And big congratulations now as HLE eliminate TL from the tournament.
And HLE, it was an eclectic series. They had their fun, but they definitely proved why they are the top seed, undefeated, moving into the bracket stage. And you can see it on their faces. I think you'll see it all over the internet, and every fan who writes about this series will wonder what could have been with a Game 1 lead that was so massive, but they couldn't actually get it done. They win Game 2 in a clutch one, but Game 3 is all HLE, and TL, a valiant effort, but it's all Hanwha in the end. And our top 4 is decided, Atlas.
It is. TES, a big sigh of relief as they got very, very close to being eliminated by this team. They'll get a big cheer from the crowd here. I think game number 2 gave us a lot of hope. We saw what could it be from TL, but unfortunately it just wasn't to be the case. HLE, I think all business in game number 3, as Zeus is just a sponsor this tournament. Last time was Red Bull, now it's, I think it was Razor, as they are of course one of the sponsors of HLE. Just, you know, the man likes to make sure that he gets those things sorted out.
Zeka, very modest after
very modest.
Very pop-off performance. Careful who you bully in lane. See what happens in the mid to late game with all those Otacon pedals.
I think it's a bit sheepish here from a lot of the HLE players after some interesting games in the first couple. But now it is time to throw it back to the space to say goodbye, unfortunately, to TL, but to get ready for our semifinals that are going to be coming up in some marathon best of 5s. Take it away, guys.